Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. Jan Michael here, coming at you with my Oscar predictions for April of 2026. Now, for those of you who've clicked on this video for the first time, go back and watch my previous videos. That's the only thing I really want to say. I can't repeat myself every single video, but if you want to know why certain things are already on the list, the way I do this is I talk about film releases within the month, and then they're just on the list for this new one. So that way I'm not repeating the same thing over and over again like I am this opening statement. So done deal there. By the way, do you guys love how my last video I said that this video shouldn't take very long to make because it's a shorter one in terms of Oscar potential, and then it like takes the longest? I also said that work could be a factor, and that's ultimately what happened. So I apologize for the lateness of this video. I won't keep you guys on suspense much longer, but know that, yeah, this month's video, if you will, isn't all that exciting in terms of Oscar prospects. So sit back, relax, let's talk about the theatrical films that came out this month first, before diving into any of the film festivals. Mother Mary. Long buried wounds rise to the surface when iconic pop star Mother Mary reunites with her estranged best friend and former costume designer Sam Anselm on the eve of her comeback performance. I don't have much hope in Mother Mary going all the way to the Oscars, but I do think there are one or two areas that we might have to keep in somewhat consideration, at least for now. The biggest one, of course, being costume design. Heck, we're talking about a costume designer in the film. I believe we see a lot of that costume designer's works. So yeah, let's just throw that into this category for now. And you do have Abina Dagler. I apologize if I mispronounced that. But she has previously been nominated, so this isn't a nomination that would come out of nowhere, or she's already proven herself enough to get into the Oscars. So yeah, it wouldn't be a huge surprise if the Academy decided to give her another recognition here. I also decided to include original song, which is Burial. This is by Charlie XCX, who, yes, seems to be having quite a year. Again, don't have much confidence in that one whatsoever, but to kind of spread the song category out a bit more, I'm going to include it here. But yeah, costume is definitely a little bit more of a stronger prospect, and even that's kind of stretching it, but you know how this goes for now. I want to give shout outs to where I can, and just because a movie overall is okay or mediocre or even bad, doesn't mean that there aren't certain aspects that shine and can be considered for Oscar nominations. Michael. The early life of musician Michael Jackson, from the discovery of his talent as the lead of the Jackson 5 to the artist whose creative ambition fueled a pursuit to become the biggest entertainer in the world. Once again, I don't have much hope in the movie Michael making it all the way to the Oscars, but I do think there are certain things you have to keep into consideration and are probably going to end up showing up in certain, awards contention, if you will. For instance, we have the lead actor, Jafar Jackson, who I hear is really, really good in the film. I say that because I've not seen Michael. I have no desire to see Michael. The whole workings behind the film and the backstory of it all leaves a bad taste in my mouth, so I'm just not quite interested in checking it out. Plus, the reviews haven't been that tempting to me to want to go check it out. Yeah, I think I understand what the film's trying to do in terms of the entertainment value. So yeah, sorry, not gonna bite. If it does end up being a huge Oscar contender or gets in, of course I ultimately will have to watch it, but just so you know where I'm coming from, I'm not watched it. Off on a tangent there, sorry. Jafar, yeah, I heard he's really, really good, and you know what? I can definitely see him getting nominated for a Golden Globe. I mean, that award ceremony nominates anybody it can. So yeah, I think he's safe to at least show up there. I don't think it'll go much further than that, but just because he most likely will get into Golden Globes, we have to definitely keep him on our list, at least for now, right? Another area that I do think even has a better shot than Jafar is in makeup and hairstyling. I mentioned this in previous videos, but this is a category where they're not afraid to just give a movie a lone nomination here. So I would definitely think that this could have a good chance of getting in. I mean, they make him Michael Jackson. That stuff is pretty impressive on that front. This is Bill Corso and Carla Farmer, both who have been Oscar nominated in the past, and Bill has even gone on to win. So yes, there is talent in this category, yes, and yeah, I wouldn't dismiss it just because the movie itself has not been well received. That sometimes doesn't matter. I always turn to Norbit. That one got an Oscar nomination, and you're like, okay, well, I guess anything can get Oscar nominated. So there's that. Lastly, about sound. I mean, it's a film where, you know, it's essentially Michael Jackson's greatest hits, from what I understand. A lot of it is him in concert. You're hearing him sing. People, those are the things that really get them jazzed up because, yeah, the songs are catchy and they're good and things of that nature. So, yeah, I'm going to include it in sound. And just like what I said with makeup and hairstyling, we've got John Warhurst, who has been nominated and has won in the past. So once again, you've got talent here. Don't dismiss the film entirely, even if you don't believe in it getting in. At least kind of keep it in your back pocket, so that way you're not just completely blindsided if it does happen. You just never know. So that's really all I got to say about Michael. Not just that, but that's really all I have to say about theatrical releases. There were only 2, and even then, you can kind of tell I was very much stretching it here. So let's talk about some film festivals. Really, it's just 2, and they're not like super major film festivals, but I've heard some interesting things from some of these films I'm about to talk about that I wanted to share them. Because, I mean, come on, otherwise this really would be a pointless update video. So let's talk about the Cleveland International Film Festival first, starting with Diego. Vanessa, 21, lives with her disabled brother Diego, 20, and their father Antonio, a gypsy with a strong personality. The happy weld oil routine of this trio is about to be disturbed by Diego's sexual awakening. While Antonio is proud to introduce his son to a viral masculinity, Vanessa becomes aware that her brother prefers men. Kind of sad how that kind of plays out like some very negative aspect to it. Like, oh no, he's gay. Oh, what are we gonna do? It's just, shut the fuck up. Somebody's gay. Leave him alone. But yeah, I get how this is going to be very emotionally impactful, especially with how the father character is kind of being portrayed just in the synopsis alone. And sure enough, the film went on to win the live action short jury award at the festival. So there is definitely some strong feelings here, and I think that could definitely take it all the way to the Oscars. We shall see. I've learned that this type of story is, man, especially when we get to the June predictions, it's everywhere, man. It's everywhere. And I get that this is a very traumatic experience for many, has been traumatic, will continue to be traumatic for many. But in terms of entertainment, if you will, these films really have to start kind of setting themselves apart, because I think it's going to get lost in the kind of overbloating of this story, if you will, the story outline. But yeah, it won an award, so it's definitely on my list. I'm very much looking forward to seeing it. This does basically round out my live action short films, but trust me when I say that this is going to be a much harder category than you've ever thought possible, because when we get to June especially, there's a lot of things I've had to knock off the list just because there's so many things that sound great. So that's what I got. But for now, here are my 5. In the Morning Sun. A Filipino mother in Toronto clings to her Alexa device as a bridge to her homeland. Through daily rituals and technology, she navigates aging and memories, while her grandchildren's choices mirror her own immigration journey decades ago. This one won the Golden Gate Award at the San Francisco International Film Festival, a festival that I'm not talking about, but I did want to include it here just because of the win there. Yeah, just whenever these things win an award, I do think you have to give it some serious consideration, because they basically automatically get a chance to get into the Oscars. So with that being said, this does also round out my documentary short film section, but once again, you'll see that I'm gonna have a really hard time because I gotta start knocking certain things off the list, and as the list starts to be refined, I am giving myself a lot of second guesses of like, am I sure I want to do that? So be prepared for that very, very soon. Steal this story, please. Amy Goodman has reported some of the most consequential stories of our time. Steal This Story, Please is a gripping portrait of a journalist whose unwavering commitment to truth-telling spans 3 decades of turbulent history. I absolutely missed this one at the Sundance Film Festival, and I'm kicking myself for it just because not only does the synopsis sound very interesting, not only has it won a couple of awards now, it's been shown at multiple film festivals, including this one, where it also won an award that, you know, and I'm very much thinking this could go all the way to get an Oscar nomination. I'm feeling very strongly about it. This is also by Carl Deal and Tia Lesson, both of who have been nominated in the past for an Oscar. So yeah, I think the stars are aligning just right for the film. I gotta include this one in my top 5 here. As such, though, as much as it pains me to say, I'm probably gonna have to get rid of Soul Patrol. I do think that one has a really good shot of getting in as well, but I can't leave out any of the other ones thus far. I feel too strongly about those individual ones. Plus, Soul Patrol doesn't have a director that's previously been nominated or has been in the talks for getting nominations. So just kind of on that alone, I feel a little bit more strongly for the artists that have already kind of cemented themselves to a degree, if you will. So yeah, those are just kind of my reasonings, but I mean, they're gonna make less sense the further along I move, just when I don't really have any more good arguments. So that's what I got for you, and that's what I got for you. Susurros. 4 centuries apart, Maria and Adelaida face unwanted pregnancies as their fates echo from Europe's witch hunts to post-Roe v. Wade America. Yeah, so this one won the Best Animated Short Jury Award here, and is being directed by like a million different directors, which I think is kind of funny because this is not a very long movie at all. I think, if I remember correctly, it's below 10 minutes, if I remember correctly. But even if it's not, it's still incredibly short. Why do you need this many directors? I don't know, but I think just with the whole Roe v. Wade, that's a very important topic right now, especially, of course, here in America. What they do to kind of compare, those witch hunts to what's going on now, I think can very much hit very strongly, not in the fields, but tell an important message as well. So yeah, definitely including this one in my top 5. Obviously, I only have 4, but don't worry, that's gonna change very soon. Just bear with me here as I round out my lists in the coming months. Voice Shift. Voice Shift follows transgender femme individuals as they seek a voice that reflects their gender identity. Guided by a trans vocal coach, the film weaves together stories from different stages of people's journeys. This one won the Documentary Short Film Award, and quite honestly, I think this is a very interesting topic. It's a look at the trans experience that probably people didn't really think about. Heck, even the ones who are probably transitioning, you want your voice to change to match your gender identity a lot more. And yeah, how do you do that? How do you get there? How do you practice your voice, changing your voice to the point that it's no longer a struggle, that it's just natural? You're changing it completely. I think that's a very fascinating look. I think that's a very interesting story to tell, and seeing how people had to kind of overcome the struggles there. So yeah, I'm very much going to be putting this one on the list. I am going to be knocking out In the Morning Sun, which I know I just talked about it. I'm already knocking it out, but I feel much more interested in watching this one than that one. But just know, I am still interested in watching both. Again, this is more of a shout out for all the films that have potential for Oscars. Check them out. Let me know. Am I wrong? Does the first one stand a better chance? Or am I right on the money? So that's the discussions. Those are the discussions I want to have. And these damn dogs keep barking in the background. I can't stop them. Okay, well, before they start causing chaos again, one more film festival I want to talk about. That is the Dallas International Film Festival. Really just 2 films, so let's move through these quickly here. Filming has proven to be a little bit annoying today, which you wouldn't notice because of my editing skills. But I talk about it, so it defeats the purpose of my editing skills. So yeah, let's just dive on in. Life goes on. Bill is in the end of life care, waiting for the sweet release of death. But unfortunately for him, he is stuck in an infinite time loop, causing the day to restart the second his heart stops. What a premise. I'm very, very much interested in checking this one out just based on the premise. I think there's a lot you can do with that. It could either go comedic, it can go really dramatic, it could be a dark comedy. You could have elements of both, which is I absolutely love. If you balance that out just right, I think this could really be a heavy hitter. But on top of it, this one went on to win the Grand Jury Prize. So yes, I'm very much interested in checking this one out. It's most definitely going into my top 5. And I'm going to knock out Don't Tell Mama. Way back, I believe January when I introduced that one, I did say it was probably the weakest of the picks that I had. Just because it didn't really have any wins. I was just going off of synopsis alone, so just because of that, I think it's an easier drop-off. But again, please don't ignore that film if you do happen to come across it. Give films their due. You know, people work hard on these. They want their stuff to get recognized, and then you can let me know if I'm crazy for removing it. 1 in a Million. A Syrian girl's decade-long journey to Germany and back as she and her family face the challenges of war and life as refugees, showing both the hardships and hopes of starting anew. There's really only one reason I'm including it on here, and it's because I've heard talk that this could very well be a strong Oscar contender, but really that's about it. I do think the story sounds interesting enough, and I love seeing people's, like, overcoming of hardships in a documentary fashion, or, you know, telling a very important tale that needs to be told. So while those aspects definitely are there just based on the synopsis, there was nothing really about it that made me go, oh yeah, this one's going to be a serious Oscar contender, especially with some of the other films that I've talked about and ones that I will be talking about very soon. But just because the conversation has been, yes, this is an Oscar contender, it could definitely get in, it could get shortlisted, what have you, I'm throwing it in there. But I'm not going to be including it in my top 5. This is just for recognition's sake. And if it does get in, you know, I talked about it here, so it wasn't completely out of my radar. But that's really all I got to say about this one. And that's all I got for you for April of 2026. Yeah, this one was a little bit of a weirder video, I guess you could say. I tried to stretch it out as much as possible. I didn't want this to be like, oh, here's a 10-minute update. Let's actually talk about these films a little bit more. So hopefully I entertained you enough for that to be the case. But if not, hey, let's just go over my current Oscar predictions as of right now, if you will. For Best Actor, my predictions currently are Anders Danielson Lee for Everybody Digs Bill Evans, Jafar Jackson for Michael, John Turturro for The Only Living Pickpocket in New York, Ryan Gosling for Project Hail Mary, and Ethan Hawke for The Wait. For Actress, my predictions are Lubna Azabal for Hot Water, Mason Reeves for Josephine, Juliette Binoche for Queen at Sea, Sandra Hüller for Rose. For Adapted Screenplay, my predictions are Will McCormick and Rashida Jones for The Invite, Drew Goddard for Project Hail Mary. For Animated Feature Film, my predictions are Daniel Chong for Hoppers. For Animated Short Film, my predictions are Anna Ginsberg for Hag, Stephen P. Neary for Living with the Visionary, Don Hertzfeldt for Paper Trail, Alexander Punsky, Mary Lombard, Florian Regnier, Emma Pletchard, Lisa Francilion, Alice Parmentier for Susurros. For Best Picture, my predictions are Josephine, Project Hail Mary. For Casting, my predictions are Nina Henninger, Nafis Kaptonwala, and Sarah Cliven for Josephine. For Cinematography, my predictions are Piers McGrail for Everybody Digs Bill Evans, Greta Zazula for Josephine, Greg Fraser for Project Hail Mary, Adolfo Veloso for Queen at Sea, and Linus Sandgren for Wuthering Heights. For Costume Design, my predictions are Sandy Powell for The Bride, Shirley Karata for I Love Boosters, Bina Degler for Mother Mary, Jacqueline Duran for Wuthering Heights. For Director, my predictions are Beth de Arajo for Josephine, Phil Lord and Chris Miller for Project Hail Mary. For Documentary Feature Film, my predictions are Po Si Teng for American Doctor, Felipe Bustosierra for Everybody to Kenmore Street, Alex Gibney for Knife, The Attempted Murder of Salman Rushdie, Carl Deal and Tia Lesson for Steal This Story Please, and Lexi Bean and Logan Rosos for What Will I Become. For documentary short film, my predictions are Stephen Curry and Penn Brownfoot for the baddest speechwriter of all, Ariel Knight for The Boys and the Bees, Victor K. Gabriel for I Got My Brother, Roberto Duke for Voice Shift, and Fanny Texier for A Woman's Place is Everywhere. For film editing, my predictions are Anisha Achra, Nico Lunin, and Kyle Ritter for Josephine, Joel Negron for Project Hail Mary. For international feature film, my predictions are Hossein Keshavarez and Miriam Atai for The Friends' Houses Here, Marcello Martinezzi for Narisso, Marcus Schlenzer for Rose, Fernanda Tovar for Sad Girls, and Ilker Katak for Yellow Letters. For live-action short film, my predictions are Lily Platt for Crisis Actor, Melissa Silveira for Diego, Eduardo Braun Costa for The Liars, Daniel Audrich and Kat Butterfield for Life Goes On, and Renee Mary Petropoulos for Souvenir. For makeup and hairstyling, my predictions are Flora Moody for 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, Nadia Stacy for The Bride, Bill Corso and Carla Farmer for Michael, Zofia Otvos and Augustin Zombar for Wicker. For original score, my predictions are Miles Ross for Josephine, Daniel Pemberton for Project Hail Mary. For original screenplay, my predictions are Boots Riley for I Love Boosters, Beth De Arajo for Josephine, Noah Segan for The Only Living Pickpocket in New York, Graham Parks for Wishful Thinking. For original song, my predictions are Save the Day from Hoppers, Burial from Mother Mary, Chains of Love from Wuthering Heights. For production design, my predictions are Charles Wood for Project Hail Mary, Susie Davies for Wuthering Heights. For sound, my predictions are John Warhurst and Humberto Gatica for Michael, Ethan Vanderin and Eric Adal for Project Hail Mary, David Gertzman and John Lawless for Undertone. For supporting actor, my predictions are Bill Pullman for Everybody Digs Bill Evans, Rob Morgan for Franken Lewis, Channing Tatum for Josephine. For supporting actress, my predictions are Laurie Metcalf for Everybody Digs Bill Evans, Gemma Chan for Josephine, Sandra Hewler for Project Hail Mary, Anna Calder-Marshall for Queen at Sea. And lastly, for visual effects, my predictions are Paul Lambert and Max Ornowska for Project Hail Mary. Welcome to the behind the scenes clip. Just to show you how often I have to stop for these dogs to stop barking. The worst is when they come at me at the end of a clip and I'm like, do I want to just power through or do I want to record the whole damn thing again? They stopped. Anyways, those are my predictions for this month. I'm going to include that part in, actually. Let you guys see all the shenanigans that happen. Yeah, guys, what do you think? I know this was, again, a bit of a weirder video. Trying to have fun with these, even with the nonsense that goes on in the background sometimes. Let me know your editing stories, your filming stories. I'm sure everybody who does YouTube videos, if there's any recordings of any sort, has fun stories. And also let me know what your Oscar predictions are. As of April, I don't know. Does that make sense? Sure, why not? Give me your Oscar predictions. Next video, definitely going to be a lot more structured how it was previously, just because we do have a lot of big things to talk about. Same with the June video. That one, there is quite a bit of things to talk about. The film festivals in particular did throw a lot of real heavy hitters our way, so I know that's probably the video that I know if I was kind of in your shoes, those are the ones that I really would be interested in seeing. So they're coming, they are coming. I also have another video that I have to work on in between those ones. And hey, my son decided to make an appearance. I'm telling you, it's nonsense. It's just not meant to be. Until next time, everybody, stay safe out there and have a good one.